After rescuing two stranded twins from a snowstorm, Millionaire discovers an incredible life-changing truth. Jack Thompson sped through the snowy mountains, the blizzard closing in like a hungry beast. As a millionaire tycoon known for his cutthroat business practices, he felt like a force of nature, untouchable, unyielding. But this time, against the roaring wind, an unexpected sight broke through his steely exterior. Two young twins, Sarah and Lucas, stood by their car, the blizzard swirling around them. Their wide, helpless eyes were filled with hope and fear, drawing him closer despite his instinct to drive on. For a moment, Jack hesitated. He had built a life drowning in wealth, a life void of connections deeper than dollar signs. People get what they deserve, he muttered to himself, but as he looked again at the twins, a flicker of something he thought he'd buried stirred within him. He pulled over, the soft crunch of snow beneath his tires echoing in the deafening storm. Little did he know, this split-second decision would unravel the fabric of his existence. "What are you doing out here?" Jack asked, his voice rough as gravel. Sarah, with her wide gaze, spoke softly, "We're waiting for Mom." "Our car isn't working." Her voice trembled, and Jack noticed Lucas clinging to her side, his small hand trembling. "Get in." Jack barked more than instructed. The twins scrambled into the back seat, warmth enveloping them like a tender embrace. As Jack drove, chaotic snowflakes splattered against the windshield, and the darkness outside matched the depth of his self-imposed isolation. He glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Lucas's hopeful face igniting an unfamiliar warmth inside him. "We think you're a hero," Lucas declared, still shivering, bringing Jack back to reality. "My mom says sometimes heroes wear suits." Jack almost laughed, but there was something powerful in the innocence of their admiration. As they spoke about school, toys, and their mother's long hours working at two jobs, Jack felt memories shift within him, a time when he, too, cherished simpler things. The twins' laughter, mixed with their curious questions about his riches, tightened a knot in his chest. "Do you have a lot of money?" Sarah asked, and Jack, unused to the bluntness, found himself lost for words. Their mother spun tales of struggle and sacrifice while Jack reveled in stories of boardroom victories. Suddenly, the car jerked violently as the storm intensified. Jack's heart raced. Snow piled high, cutting off their escape routes, and panic surged through him. He glanced in the rearview mirror, and it hit him. These innocent lives depended on him. Failure meant leaving them to fate in a raging wilderness. Before he could think, he swerved the vehicle to escape an oncoming avalanche. Adrenaline shot through him like lightning, his instincts kicked in, igniting a bond he had long thought impossible. As snow fell fiercely, Jack put himself in harm's way, the warmth of the children's trust pushing him to battle against despair. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Night enveloped them, and what had begun as a trek toward luxury turned into a fight for survival. In that frigid cabin of metal and despair, Jack faced his most critical decision. Did he cling to his past, or did he embrace the possibility of redemption? As the storm howled outside, he looked in the mirror again, this time not seeing a wealthy businessman but a man facing the opportunity to remake his legacy, to redefine his place in the world. Just as an answer began to crystallize, a knock at the window shattered his thoughts. Through the swirling storm stood their mother, her eyes wide with worry, and despair written across her worn face. Jack felt the tension build within him. Would he step into a new life, or retreat back to the comfort of solitude? The storm raged on, leaving him teetering on the edge, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. Jack froze, staring at the woman outside. She was soaked to the bone, her hair plastered against her face, barely visible through the blizzard. The haunting look in her eyes cut through the noise of the storm and ricocheted through his chest. A sense of urgency surged within him, time was ticking, and he couldn't just sit there. "Open the door!" she yelled, her voice pierced through the wind. With a grunt, Jack yanked the door open. The rush of cold air pierced the warm cocoon inside the car. "Get in!" he urged, his voice urgent. As the woman stumbled inside, Sarah and Lucas rushed to hug her, their small bodies shaking against her as she enveloped them in a fierce embrace. "Mom!" Their joy was palpable, filling the car with life. Jack watched, heart tightening. Something about seeing the pure relief on their faces made his own struggles feel so far away, almost trivial. "Thank God," she breathed, looking at Jack with a mix of panic and gratitude. "I thought I'd lost you too." In the warmth of their reunion, Jack caught a glimpse of the mother behind the protective shield, the fierce love that fought against all odds. It awakened something in him. "It's too dangerous out there," he said, glancing back at the swirling chaos beyond the windshield. "We can't go anywhere until the storm passes." "I know," she said, her voice shaky. "I got stuck trying to find them. I was worried sick. We just needed to get home." She paused, looking around the car, her eyes landing on Jack with a sudden realization. "Who are you?" "Jack Thompson," he muttered, pulling off his gloves, feeling the heat of the moment pull at him in strange ways. "I was passing by when I saw them." "Why would you stop?" the mother asked, skepticism threading through her voice. His stomach twisted. Why would he stop? He'd lived a life that pushed kindness away, held other people's needs at arm's length. "Because I can't just leave kids out there. No one deserves that." For a moment, silence draped over them, heavy yet transforming. The children snuggled close, comforted by their mother's presence, while Jack felt something crack inside him, a glimmer of the man he used to be, the man he thought he had lost forever. "He's a hero," Lucas chimed, eyes shining with admiration. To that, Jack shrugged, feeling warmth flood through him. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," she said firmly. "Not everyone would. You put yourself at risk for my children. That's not nothing." As she spoke, Jack's past demanded attention, his tightly wound days of board meetings and cold negotiations. But at this moment, he found himself caught between two worlds. The twinkling lights of wealth and the warm glow of care. A sudden roar from outside startled him. The storm felt fiercer now, like it was clawing at the walls of the car, pushing against them relentlessly. "We can't stay here forever," he said, a wave of dread creeping in. "We'll need to move when it calms down." "No." Their mother replied, the fierceness in her voice sending vibrations through him. "They're not going anywhere until it's safe. We wait for it to stop. We huddle together, stick together." Those words hit him hard. Stick together. When's the last time he did that? When's the last time he felt he truly belonged anywhere? As the storm raged on outside, he shifted in his seat, a fire igniting within. The car held more than just warmth now, it held the potential for something greater, a chance for connection beyond his past scars. But just then, a haunting sound crashed through their safety, a deep rumble like thunder echoed, as if the mountains themselves were crumbling around them. Jack's heart raced as the atmosphere shifted. "What was that?" Sarah whispered, wide-eyed. Jack swallowed hard, dread creeping in. They weren't out of danger yet, and what if the day shifted further into chaos? Would he be able to protect them? In that moment, Jack realized he not only wanted to save these children, he wanted to save himself too. The storm wasn't the only thing brewing, personal change was brewing within him. One thing was for sure, they were in this together now. But as he processed all this, darkness loomed closer, a glimmer of potential danger just as a shadow moved beyond the snow. Who or what was out there in the unforgiving wilderness? Jack's grip tightened on the steering wheel, determination coursing through him. They needed to stay safe, stay strong. Was this where his real journey began? Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he peered through the icy windshield, trying to make sense of the darkness beyond. The blizzard howled like a beast, snowflakes swirling like tiny daggers against the glass. He took a steadying breath, forcing himself to focus on his responsibilities. He was no longer just a passerby, now, he was their protector. "Mom, I'm scared," Lucas said, clutching his sister's arm tightly. "Shoo, honey, it's okay," she replied, her voice soothing. But Jack could see the worry etched on her face, the way her eyes darted toward the noise outside. He turned to her, searching for some assurance, but all he saw reflected back was fear masked by determination. "We need to stay calm. It's our safest bet for now." His words felt empty, but he hoped they would provide at least some comfort. Then, another crash resonated from outside, louder this time. Jack's gut twisted, fear gripping him. "Stay here," he said, unsure if he was more trying to reassure them or himself. With reluctance, he reached for the door handle, but she quickly grabbed his arm. "Please, don't. If there's something out there, don't risk it." Her grip was fierce, and he could feel the fear radiating from her. Vulnerability tangled with her fierce protectiveness, and he couldn't help but admire her. "I have to check," he insisted, though a part of him wanted to stay right where he was, surrounded by warmth and safety. "Please." His eyes met hers, and in that moment, the noise of the storm faded away. Jack realized they were in this together, bonded by a shared urgency. He let out a shaky breath. "All right, but we need a plan." "Plan?" she echoed, her brow knitting together. "What plan?" "If whatever it is out there poses a threat, we need to know how to react. Keep the kids close, ready to move if we have to." She nodded slowly, her tension lessening slightly. "Fine. You go check. But I want to come with you." He hesitated, he didn't want to put her or the kids in danger. "It might not be safe." "I don't care. You're not leaving us alone." There was a fire in her eyes that Jack couldn't ignore. Okay. He sighed, the edge of fear softening into acceptance. They would face whatever that darkness held together. Moments later, they were bundled back into their jackets, little Sarah and Lucas squeezing their mother's hand as Jack opened the door. The storm lashed out with frigid fingers as they stepped into the world beyond the car. Wind screamed around them, the cold biting through the layers of their clothes. Visibility was almost non-existent, the snowscape a blur of white and gray. Even so, Jack felt a sense of resolve building inside him, a purpose that had been a long time dormant. "Let South keep close," he said, leading the way with slow, cautious steps, the snow crunching underfoot. They moved together, a thread of cohesion binding them amidst the raging storm, each heartbeat growing louder against the clang of the winds. Just then, out of the corner of his eye, Jack spotted movement, a shadow dancing among the trees, weaving in and out like smoke hiccuping against the storm. His breath caught in his throat, panic tightening its grip. "What is that?" he whispered. The mother's sharp intake of breath and the children's wide eyes confirmed that whatever hovered just beyond their reach could be very real. The warmth of connection they'd recently forged flickered and wavered against the rising tide of danger. Jack's heart raced, and he instinctively stepped protectively in front of them. There was no denying it now, they were more than a group of strangers bound by chance, they were intertwined in a moment of survival. The shadows drew nearer. "What should we do?" she trembled. His mind raced. It was the moment he needed to find courage, to step out of the comfortable cocoon of his past and embrace the uncertainty etched in their future. "We face it together," he declared, voice firm yet shaky. As the shadow moved closer, the figure finally revealed itself, and with it, his heart plummeted. "Jack," she started, a mixture of fear and disbelief flooding her voice. But he didn't know if he was prepared for this tortured revelation lying in wait. Would he be able to protect them from what came next? They braced themselves, hearts pounding, ready to confront whatever storm awaited them. As the darkness loomed ever closer, the question hovered in the frigid air: who would emerge from this blizzard, and at what cost? The figure stepped into the storm's dim light, and Jack's heart stopped. A familiar face swam into view, a ghost from his past, someone he'd hoped never to see again. David, his childhood friend turned estranged brother. It felt like a movie playing out in slow motion, every detail painfully vivid. Jack. David breathed, his voice barely escaping the storm. The warmth of recognition was swallowed by a rush of emotions: anger, betrayal, and fear. But above all, there was confusion. Why was David here, in the middle of this wild blizzard? Jack's mind raced through memories, flooded with thoughts of laughter turned to fights, of brotherhood shattered by choices. All those years lost, and now here he was, standing before them, shaking and defeated. "What are you doing here?" Jack shouted over the howling wind, masking his fear with something sharper. He could sense the mom's anxious glance, the kid's curiosity, but this was his fight. Their safety hung in the balance. I got lost," David stammered, his face windburned and pale. "I was driving. In this mess." Jack cut him off, remembering the reckless streak that had always defined David. "How could you be so careless? Please, I wasn't myself. I need help." David's frantic tone broke through the storm. There was desperation in his eyes, real, raw pain. It pierced through Jack's frustration, opening up something he'd buried long ago. With a firm grip on reality, Jack turned to the mom. "We can't let him stay out here. He could freeze." Her eyes widened. "But Jack. What if he is dangerous?" She held her kids closer, their small bodies pressed against her like a shield. "I'm not dangerous," David almost yelled, as if reading her mind. I just need a place to stay until the storm passes." Jack weighed the options in his mind. The storm was relentless, clawing at their very resolve. Could he trust David? Did he want to? But then he looked at Lucas and Sarah. Their little faces reflected the fear that commingled with the confusion swirling in his own gut. "No," he said, shaking his head, but hesitation lingered in his voice. "We need to make a decision now. If we take him with us, we need to keep an eye on him. It's not just about us anymore." "Jack, please." David's voice broke, revealing the fragility behind his bravado. "I messed up. I'll do anything. Just help me." His words hit Jack harder than expected. This wasn't just David, the reckless brother he used to know. This was a man battling his own demons in ways Jack couldn't fathom. Behind him, the mom looked at Jack, her resolve softening. "We have to do something, they're scared." The decision loomed heavy, but finally, Jack found a lanky thread of acceptance. "Fine. But you stay close. And if you do anything, I want I promise," David stammered, a shimmer of hope crossing his features. They turned back toward the car, moving as a united yet cautious front through the relentless blizzard. Jack's heart beat unevenly, a rhythm that echoed the tension pooling in the air. Would they truly be safe with David back in their lives? As they reached the vehicle, however, a low rumble interrupted their hesitant moment. It was beneath them, creeping from below. The ground shook ever so slightly. "What was that?" Lucas whispered, peering into the swirling storm, eyes wide with fear. Jack's stomach dropped. "I don't know, but we need to hurry." Instinctively, he glanced at David, who now wore a look of confusion mixed with dread. The realization set in whatever lay ahead, it was shifting beneath their feet, like the ground was willing to swallow them whole. They all climbed back into the car, anxiously waiting, hearts pounding, ready to confront an unseen threat. The storm outside raged on, and another crash echoed from the trees, this one much closer. What could it be? The mom whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. Jack turned to David, who looked just as frightened, and felt a strange mix of dread and responsibility. They weren't just facing the storm anymore, something darker was lurking. "It's going to be all right," he said, though the words felt hollow. But the storm wasn't done with them yet. The moment of truth was approaching, and all Jack could think was what else had he brought back into their lives. Jack gripped the steering wheel tightly, the cold metal biting into his palms as he listened to the howling wind outside. The storm was more than just a flurry of snow, it felt like a living entity, testing their resolve, daring them to withstand its fury. David sat tense in the back seat, his breath fogging the air, the weight of past sins hanging heavy between the two brothers. "Do you think it's going to stop soon?" asked Sarah, her small voice barely breaking through the oppressive tension. Lucas leaned closer to her, holding her hand, a protective instinct woven with a child's worry. Jack turned to them, searching for reassurances in their innocent faces. "I hope so, buddy. Just stay close. We'll get through this, I promise." "Jack." David's voice trembled, interrupting the fragile comfort that hung in the air. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." He hesitated, the words caught in his throat. "I just wanted to see if you were okay. I thought about you all the time." Jack's heart ached at the admission, but his anger surged. "You think showing up now changes anything? After everything?" David sighed deeply, the sound heavy with regret. "I know I messed up. But can we just put that aside for now? There's something more pressing." "Something more pressing?" Jack shot back, disbelief written across his face. "You think I'm just supposed to forget how you left? How you destroyed everything?" "Look, I don't want to fight," David replied, desperation creeping into his voice. "I just need you to trust me just for tonight. We need each other." The ground shook again, more pronounced this time, sending shivers through Jack's spine. His instincts screamed that every second mattered. "We'll talk later," but before he could finish, another monstrous crash startled them, louder and closer than before. Jack's adrenaline surged. "What was that?" "I don't know." David blurted, fear painting his features. "But we need to get out of here. The snow could be covering something dangerous." Jack's heartbeat pounded like a drum. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I think there's more going on. The ground isn't just shaking from the storm. There might be something beneath us." David's eyes darted wildly, scanning the darkness outside. The apparent panic in David's eyes gripped Jack harder than any past betrayal. The storm hammered relentlessly against the car, muffling everything except the growing sense of dread. "We need to move. Now." With urgency, Jack cranked the ignition, the engine rumbling to life amidst the chaos. As he shifted into drive, he caught David's gaze in the rearview mirror. For one fleeting moment, Jack saw not just the frayed threads of their shared history but also a glimmer of vulnerability, the brother he missed. The car lurched forward, snow spinning around them like a cyclone as they struggled against the onslaught. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that danger was lurking just outside, waiting for the right moment to strike. "Where do we go?" The mom's voice trembled beside him, clinging to hope with her kids firmly in her embrace. "Out of the storm," Jack replied, determination hardening his voice. "We head towards the town. Hopefully, we can find help before what?" A thought chilled him. Before whatever was below them awakened. Heavy breaths filled the car, the kind that wrapped the passengers in a cocoon of fear and uncertainty. Just as they began picking up speed, there was a sound like cracking glass beneath them, ominous and claustrophobic. "Jack! Look!" Lucas shouted, pointing out the window. Bursting through the veil of falling snow, a glowing shape emerged, rising from the ground like a ghost, pulsing with ominous energy. Jack's heart dropped. "What is that?" They all stared, minds racing in panic as reality shifted again. This storm had secrets, and time was running out. "Go! We need to get away from it!" David shouted. But as Jack drove into the storm, he couldn't shake the thought they hadn't just brought David back into their lives. They'd awaken something far worse. What other mysteries lay in wait for them? Hidden beneath the snow. Jack's foot pressed harder on the gas, the tires struggling against the thickening snow, fighting for grip as they raced toward a dark blur in the distance. He could feel every hair on his neck standing on end. The glowing shape lingered in his mind, an unsettling reminder of how unreal everything around him had become. "Jack, we can't leave it behind," David insisted, desperation edging into his voice. "What if it's connected to all of this?" "The only thing we're leaving behind is this storm," Jack shot back, resolve hardening his gaze. He needed to stay focused. "We don't know what that thing is. We need to get the kids to safety." Sarah whimpered quietly in the back seat, and Lucas squeezed her hand tightly, both of them picking up on the tension that electrified the air. Jack's heart sank at their fear. He didn't want this night to be remembered as the moment everything went wrong. "Mom!" Lucas's small voice broke through the storm, addressing Sarah. "What if the glowing thing wants to help us?" "Sweetheart, we don't know what it wants," she replied softly, trying to mask her own fear for her children. Her voice trembled, but she remained the anchor they needed. Another crack echoed beneath them, followed by the sound of something shifting too close for comfort. Jack fought to keep the car straight as wind howled, forcing them to tilt sideways momentarily. Panic threaded through him, and with it, fierce determination rose to the surface. "We'll figure this out once we're safe," Jack yelled back, his voice sharper than he intended. Suddenly, the chilling feeling wrapped around his heart didn't just stem from the storm. It was rising up from the depths of despair he shared with David. They'd never truly addressed their past, and now, standing on the precipice of something unknown, they had to face it all while fighting for survival. "Are you sure this is the right way?" David asked, concern spilling from his lips. "Are you sure this will lead us to safety?" "Trust me," Jack replied sharply, gripping the wheel tighter. "Just trust me." As he cut through the storm, fleeting memories flashed in his mind, little adventures they had shared, laughter that echoed down quiet summer nights. Could they really let anger and guilt suffocate those moments forever? A distant flicker caught Jack's eye, illuminating the blizzard ahead. A hint of hope. "Look! Lights!" He pointed toward the dim glow that was barely visible. "Please let it be a house," Sarah cried softly. "Please let them help us." Jack squinted through the storm, praying that it was what he hoped. "Hold on tight, everyone." They sped ahead, and his heart raced, propelling them closer to the light, closer to salvation. As they approached, the glow grew brighter, revealing a rickety old structure with smoke curling from the chimney. Relief flooded through Jack, but a part of him remained uneasy, a whisper urging him to slow down. "Is anyone even there?" David asked, peering through the blizzard. "It might be abandoned." "I don't know, but we're not stopping now," Jack barked. "We need to check." Like moths drawn to flame, they arrived, the car abruptly stopping in a cloud of snow dust. Uncertainty loomed as they stepped into the unknown. Jack opened the door creaking loudly in the stillness. A figure emerged from the shadows of the home, half hidden by layers of snow. "What are you doing here?" It was an old man, his voice almost lost amidst the storm, his eyes scanning them suspiciously. Tension tightened around Jack's chest. "We're just looking for safety," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "We got caught in the storm." The old man stepped closer, and Jack could feel David's presence thick with apprehension. Clarity struck him like lightning as a memory of their childhood teacher flashed vividly in his mind, warning them of trusting strangers. But this was different, they had no choice. "Have you seen anything unusual around here?" Glowing shapes, movements beneath the snow. Jack blurted out, urgency pushing his words faster. The old man's expression shifted, surprise cutting through the icy air. "You've already awakened it, haven't you?" Instinctively, Jack leaned back, fear creeping back in. "What does that mean?" David's question hung heavily between them as Jack faltered, the implications settling in. Had they truly opened something they weren't prepared to face? With every flick of the storm, the world seemed smaller, more claustrophobic. The secrets of the storm now loomed larger than ever, waiting to swallow them whole. As they stepped closer, a fracturing sound came from behind. The snow heavy with unease. Had they truly brought something forth from the depths of the storm? What lay beyond the door and how far would they go to confront it? The old man took a step back, the weight of his words hanging thick in the air. Jack glanced at David, and then at Sarah and Lucas, their faces pale with apprehension. The house creaked behind them, and the sound was almost a whisper among the storm. Jack wanted to turn back, to leave this place and the uncertainty it held. But how? The storm would consume them. There's something out there, David muttered, the air around him charged with trepidation. Maybe we can help, Jack said, seeking courage. You know, if it's awake, maybe it needs something. But the old man's eyes narrowed, his weathered face betraying no emotion. It doesn't want help. It hungers. Hunger. Lucas murmured, curling tighter into his mother's embrace. The fear in his voice pricked at Jack's heart. The old man nodded gravely. It's been sleeping long enough. You should have left it alone. Jack's pulse quickened. How can we stop it? Only the right offering will quiet it, came the chilling reply, almost a riddle. But no one ever survives to see it fulfilled. What do you mean? David stepped forward, his voice sharper now, urgency dripping from each word. What kind of offering? It wants what it's been missing, the man answered cryptically, his eyes darting toward the swirling storm. Just then, a gust rattled the windows, furious and unforgiving. Panic surged in Jack's chest. We can't just stand here. What is going to happen to us? A flicker of anger ignited, he was fed up with the vagueness. If we can't help here, then we need to leave, now. Leaving could be worse, the old man warned. Out there, it's listening. It knows you've come. It will try to get inside your heads. A pause hung between them, a heavy breath in the chaos. Was the threat real? Was it just the storm clouding their judgment? Jack turned to Sarah, who was trembling against Lucas, both of them frightened and bewildered. He needed to protect them. I won't let anything happen to you, he whispered with fierce conviction. He had to be the rock in this storm. Suddenly, a thunderous crack echoed from further in the woods behind the house, a sound like thunder, but hollow and taunting. The old man's eyes blazed with urgency. It's awake. He shouted. You have no time left. Jack, we have to go. David urged, his voice urgent now. But the old man raised a hand, and though the warning trembled in it, Jack felt compelled to stay. There was something about the man that felt strangely familiar, echoing a long-lost part of Jack's past. What was it? What do we have to offer? Jack pressed, desperation making him bold. You will find it. On that path, he gestured behind the house, which was now more shadow than solid structure. But you must hurry. It will take more than blood for safety. In that moment, Sarah's hand slipped into Jack's. Her small fingers were cold against his palm, grounding him. He could feel her trust, her belief that somehow they would find a way through this nightmare. He didn't want to fail her. Okay. Let us get to that path, Jack said, trying to rally everyone. We have to be quick. Sarah, Lucas, stay close. The old man watched them, a storm of emotions swirling in his eyes. Be wise. When you face it, it will show you your own fears. Your own darkness. Remember, the hardest part will be letting go. Jack squeezed Sarah's hand gently, even as dread knotted inside him. What was that darkness? Would it be the secrets he had buried? The guilt he never voiced? As they dashed toward the path the old man had pointed out, Jack heard the wind howl in a way that echoed their fears. The flickering hope of safety seemed distant, a fragile ember waiting for some gust to snuff it out. What awaited them on that path? And would they confront what they were truly running from? The storm whispered around them, and as they stepped over the threshold from the safety of the old man's house into the raw chaos, Jack resolved to face whatever lay ahead, unknowable and terrifying together. But just then, a shadow shifted among the trees, and Jack felt something cold coil around his heart. Was it too late to turn back? The moment Jack stepped onto the path, he felt the world around him shift. The trees, tall and foreboding, towered like silent sentinels. Each gust of wind seemed to carry whispers, notes of warning woven with the rustle of leaves. It was disorienting, this blend of fear and urgency. "Stay close," he repeated, his voice steadier than he felt. David threw a glance over his shoulder, eyes wide. "Did you see that?" he gasped. There was something before he could finish. A rumble echoed from deep within the woods, a low growl that resonated in Jack's bones. He met Sarah's panic-stricken gaze, her little fingers squeezing his, as if seeking reassurance. Lucas, now clinging to his mother, looked up at her with eyes filled with a wild combination of fear and wonder. "It's just the storm," Sarah whispered, though Jack could see that her voice wavered. She was desperately searching for any glimmer of hope. But Jack felt it too. The darkness was not just in the storm. It loomed large, a suffocating presence that crept into his thoughts. "We have to keep going," he urged, determination tightening his grip on Sarah's hand. Each step ahead kept the darkness at bay, yet Jack couldn't shake the thought of what awaited them. He could still hear the old man's voice echoing in his mind, warnings intertwined with riddles. "The hardest part will be letting go." As they moved deeper into the woods, the trees closed in on them, creating a tunnel of shadows. Jack could feel his heart racing, the silence stretched out, thin and frail, like a piece of thread ready to snap. Suddenly, Lucas's cry broke through the tension. "Wait!" he urged, his voice urgent. "Look!" Ahead of them, a shimmering light flickered, glowing like the faintest star against the night. The light pulsed invitingly, drawing their eyes. It was a soft, warm glow that contradicted the impending storm. Jack's instinct was to rush towards it, but a twinge of hesitation gripped him. "Stay together," Jack commanded, drawing them in closer. As they approached, the light grew brighter but began to twist into forms Jack couldn't quite comprehend. Shadows started dancing in the glow, weaving shapes that morphed into faces, some that looked familiar, others that were nightmarish reflections of their worst fears. Was the darkness revealing their inner turmoil? Sarah's voice trembled as she looked at the illusory images flashing before them. "I don't like this." He felt the warmth of her hand again, a reminder of the real world among the chaos. "You can do this. We all can." He took a cautious step forward. "Face it, remember what the old man said. Don't let it in." Just then, a wave of chilling air swept over them, snatching at Jack's breath. The light flickered violently, and for a moment, he could swear he saw snippets of his failures, regrets etched in shadow, moments when he let fear dictate his choices, when love slipped through his fingers because he was too afraid to reach out for it. "Let go!" A voice cried out from deep within, turning Jack's attention inward. Could any of this be real? He had spent so long running from the shadows of his past. Was that the offering the old man had spoken of? To face these ghosts? With a rush of clarity, Jack shouted above the storm surging around them, "I won't be afraid anymore." The words burst forth, full of resolve. The shadows seemed to draw back momentarily, the light growing stronger. "Jack, what are you doing?" David exclaimed, but Jack didn't turn back. In this raw moment, he felt something shift. A strength he had never known surged within him. But the shadows coiled around them again, pulling him toward their depths, wrapping tighter and tighter. "You think you're brave?" they whispered, each word laced with venom. "You're just a scared little boy." "No!" Jack yelled back, forcing his way through the rising tide of despair within him. An ember of hope ignited his spirit. What would happen next? Would he break free, or was he only feeding the darkness by fighting against it? Behind him, the others watched helplessly, fear etched on their faces as shadows danced wildly, and Jack faced the truth he had long buried. A decision loomed, one that could lead them all to safety or deeper into the storm. Could he truly confront his own darkness? And if he did, would they all make it back alive? Jack's heart raced as he felt the shadows constricting around him. They whispered vile lies, each one a reflection of insecurity, reminding him of every moment he had faltered. You'll never escape, you'll never be enough, but within that swirling mass of darkness, something shifted. Like a tiny spark in a cold room, a new resolve sparked inside him. He took a deep breath, forcing a calmness amid the chaos. I am not afraid, Jack repeated, his voice stronger, clearer. The shadows writhed, their grip loosening slightly as his words echoed in the dark. We are not our fears, he said, turning to face his friends, his family. Together, we can face anything. Jack, you're scaring me, Sarah whispered, and Jack could see the fear in her eyes. It broke something inside him. She deserved to be brave, to feel hope. I'm sorry, he said, his voice softer. But if we're going to move forward, we need to stand as one. Can you trust me? Her nod was slight, but enough. Jack felt the weight of her small hand in his, a tether to light in a world crowded by shadows. David and Lucas joined them, moving closer, standing shoulder to shoulder. The shadows writhed, angry at this newfound unity. You think you can beat us? They hissed. You think a little resolve is enough? In that moment, Jack realized they fed on fear, doubt, of vulnerability he had long carried inside. His heart ached with the weight of it all, but new light flooded his chest. We are not alone, he declared, his voice rising above the howl of wind and whispers. We have each other, and that's more powerful than any darkness. As if provoked by his words, the shadows reared back, a wave of darkness crashing against their resolve. The light ahead flickered again, vibrant in the tumult, illuminating the path ahead. Jack took a step forward, pulling the others along with him. It was now or never. Let us go. He shouted, pushing against the tug of the darkness. With every stride, they moved deeper into the light, the warmth of hope radiating around them as shadows shrieked and recoiled. Jack realized they were breaking through, a resistance forming against the fear that had chased them. Suddenly, the shimmering light became blindingly bright, wrapping around them like a warm hug. A rush of memories surged through him, not the failures or fears, but the love he felt for Sarah, the camaraderie with David, the innocence of Lucas. Each face they encountered in the light was a reminder of who they were, of who they could be. With one final push, the shadows dissipated, scattering like a swarm of disturbed insects. Jack stumbled but caught himself, the light now encompassing them completely. He blinked against the brightness, and as it slowly dimmed, the woods around him transformed. The towering trees now spread apart, revealing a glade filled with vibrant color. Flowers bloomed on the ground, and birds flitted through the branches above. It was surreal and beautiful, a stark contrast to the chaotic darkness they had left behind. Did we win? Lucas asked, wide-eyed with wonder. Jack looked down at his friends, the warmth of unity pulsing within him. I think we did, he said, a hint of disbelief mixed with relief. But just as hope began to settle in, Jack noticed something. At the edge of the clearing stood an ancient stone, adorned with strange symbols. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, and he felt his heart race once more. Was this the old man's offering? Do you think it's safe? David asked, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Jack hesitated, a chill dancing along his spine as he realized the truth of their journey was far from over. The shadows may have retreated for now, but what lay ahead? The clearing felt alive, vibrating with possibilities, but he couldn't shake the sense that danger was waiting just beyond the trees. Would they find answers, or would they awaken something even darker? Taking one last glance back towards his friends, Jack stepped toward the stone, uncertainty creeping in. What would they uncover about the past, about themselves, in this new light? As Jack approached the ancient stone, its surface shimmered and flickered, piercing the remaining shadows that clung like ghosts in the corners of his mind. Intricate symbols danced across its surface, whispering secrets of eras long vanished. He felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, to connect with the energy thrumming beneath his fingertips, but hesitation held him back. "Jack, wait." David's voice floated behind him, a thread woven with concern. "We should be cautious. We don't know what that is." Jack turned to face his brother, seeing genuine fear etched on his face. Yet, something crucial had transformed within him during their harrowing journey. Jack had peeled back layers of resentment, letting go of the past that had shackled him for years. He was ready to move forward, ready to embrace whatever this stone offered, whether it was the end of their fears or a new beginning. "We've come this far together," he replied, looking back at the glimmering stone. "It won't hurt to find out what it means." With renewed determination, Jack reached out, fingertips brushing the cold surface. The moment he made contact, the air around him crackled with energy. A wave of warmth surged through him, pulling at his heart. It was unlike anything he had experienced, a sense of belonging, of acceptance washing over him, intertwining with the presence of the twins and their mother, their gazes full of wonder while David stood slightly back, still unsure. The symbols on the stone began to glow brighter, illuminating the clearing in a burst of light that wrapped around them like a cocoon. "What is happening?" Lucas whispered, eyes wide. But Jack felt the fear dissolve, replaced with a sense of clarity, a vision igniting in his mind. He saw flashbacks of his life, bruised relationships, moments of anger, isolation. But he also saw laughter shared, sacrifices made, the joy of little victories that had been overshadowed. Each memory glimmered, telling him he was more than just a millionaire with an empty heart, he was a person capable of love, of kindness. "Let it in, Jack," a voice whispered, echoing against the clearing's vibrant walls, belonging to someone he couldn't quite place. Perhaps it was his own voice, or a collective revelation from those around him. "Let the past guide you, not bind you." As he stood there, memories rippled one after another, unlocking something deeper inside him. He saw Sarah's and Lucas's innocent laughter, each giggle a soft reminder of the purity he had long forgotten. Their trust was a treasure, a gift he'd overlooked amidst the chaos of wealth. Jack realized this stone had the power to release not just the shadows haunting him but also the cargo of hurt and disappointment he had carried for too long. "Jack." David's voice broke him from the trance. "Are you okay?" Jack opened his eyes, and he felt lighter. An unexpected tide of joy washed over him, replacing the weight of resentment. He turned to David, startled to see the deep sense of yearning reflected on his brother's face. "We can't go back to who we were," he said softly, producing Danny's heart's tender, raw truth from the ashes. "But we can move forward together." Tears brimmed in David's eyes, and for the first time, they looked at each other not as estranged brothers but as the men they could still become. "I never meant to hurt you," David said, emotion welling in his voice. "I just wanted you to be happy." In that moment, the storm outside began to quiet. It was as if the clearing itself exhaled, acknowledging their truth. Jack turned to Sarah and Lucas, who had witnessed the powerful transformation alongside them. "Together, we'll stand against anything," he vowed, his voice infused with gratitude. "As a family." The light from the stone steadily dimmed, settling into a gentle glow, and Jack could sense that this energy would accompany them wherever their paths led. The shadows were not just remnants of fear but reminders of battles fought and won. Each step they took away from the stone echoed the promise of healing, of reunion, of recommitting to love and gratitude. "Do you think we've changed everything?" Sarah asked, her tiny voice wrapping around Jack's heart. "I think," he said with a radiant smile, "we've changed everything that matters." With David beside him, and the twins safe in their mother's embrace, they turned away from the stone and headed back through the emerald clearing. Step by step, they forged new bonds. The storm that had once seemed all-consuming now felt distant, fading into mere echoes of the night. Could they truly conquer the darkness? They had already begun. As Jack led his family into the warmth of the rising dawn, enveloped by the lush forest alive with light, he knew their journey was just beginning. It was full of hope, love, and the magic woven through connections that would never break again. This was not just an ending, but a monumental beginning, a chance for renewal and remembrance. They were no longer bound by the storms of the past. Now, they were creating their own future, one brave step at a time. And now, dear friends, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us keep the adventure alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter to us. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the journey. Join the family and be a part of the magic.